What is going on, people? Welcome to the Offside Chat podcast, our new home on YouTube. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and then listen. It's going to be our new home. So, yeah, really excited about that. Obviously, we'll introduce the team again. It's kind of weird because you lot probably would have heard us on radio, probably followed us on Instagram. So now you can actually see people. Is obviously introduced Naeem. Welcome back, bro. How are you, man?
I'm very well, bro. Looking forward to the new season.
Yeah.
New home, but same great content. I hope so. Yeah, looking forward to
Cool. And we have our our
it.
resident Ted, man. You're on mute, Ted. That hardly happens.
Mm.
Started already, man. Not even 2 minutes in.
What's going on, brother? How are you, man?
I'm good, my bro. How are you guys doing?
Oh,
I'm
yes.
all good, man. Listen, the Premier League is back. Let's kick this off. The Premier League is back, and I think we have to start one place only. That was Old Trafford on Sunday. That was Manchester United versus Arsenal. And listen, if you talk about opening day fixtures, I don't think you get many better than this, just in regards to the past rivalry. For me personally, these are the two teams that basically built the Prem in terms of like rivalry and titles won and stuff. So, yeah, we've got to start at Old Trafford. So, listen, what were your thoughts on the game, Ted? Because 1-0. It's always going to be a tight game. New signings. Obviously, you've got 200 million pounds spent by Manchester United on Cunha,
Mm-hmm.
Imbuemo, Sesko. It's a new dawn at Manchester United at home, exactly when it's the opening day of the season as well. Everyone's excited, and then you had Arsenal, who also has been quite an exciting or interesting summer for them. They had their new centre forward Gyökeres, Zubamendi. What were your thoughts on the game?
Well, judging by the team sheets, on paper, I thought Arsenal looked the stronger of the two. We had pretty much our full strength attack, our first choice midfield pairing, and apart from Calafiori and Ben White, pretty much the starting 11. I saw the team sheet for Man United. Sky always do his thing where they mess up the formation or they put players in the wrong formation. So I saw a Mount at the number 9 position. I was thinking, oh, that's a bit weird. But then
Hmm.
obviously Mount was on the wing, and it was either Cunha or Mbuemo in the interchanging in the 9 spots, right? And I was thinking, you saw Dallo, you saw the midfield two of Casemiro and Bruno, and I was thinking, even though it's an unhappy hunting ground overall, and we don't really tend to show our best performances at United, especially away. I thought, okay, we could maybe do something. I was quietly confident. Then obviously, once the ball got kicked, it was pretty much a shambles from Arsenal. We were not sharp. We did not look at the races at all. We couldn't even build up from the back, and that's very uncharacteristic of an Arsenal side. We are at least very good on the ball. And it was like we got punched in the mouth, and we just did our very best to hold on for 90 minutes. And yeah, it wasn't good. But at the end of the day, if you can't play well, it's best not to lose. And at least we won. We got the 3 points, and we can tick off Old Trafford. We'd have to go there again, and that's an unhappy hunting ground done. But in terms of the performance, I was not happy with most of the players, man. If it wasn't for our excellent defense and Raya, who had an excellent game, and a bit of horrible shooting from United, we could have been 3 or 4 down. I really believe that. I don't think we played to the best of our abilities. We didn't look like a team that, even at the preseason, we just didn't look sharp. We looked off the pace. And I'll give the boys a bit of grace. Ben White coming back from surgery. Timber had surgery in the off-season. Gabriel had surgery in the off-season as well. Well, not off-season, but he had surgery towards the end of last season. Saka, still getting back to fitness. So there's a lot of question marks. Gyökeres as well. I think he tried hard. He worked hard. He didn't cheat the game, but the game just didn't come to him. And we didn't play to his strengths either. I know there's a lot of chat and a lot of fodder on online about how we might have signed a dud. And it's too early to say that, man. At the end of the day, this is his first game at this level. I don't think he expected it to be probably this difficult, maybe this fast paced. He's probably used to obviously a different setup in Portugal, And he looked a cut above over there. He looked stronger physically over there, physically dominant over there. He could overrun any defender in Portugal. When you come to the Premier League, they always say, listen, the speed of the game, the physicality, he always takes, foreign exports sometimes a bit of a while to get used to it because it's very fast, very, very taxing, very physically demanding. But I think, as the season wears on, I think he's up to the task. He bet on himself and he got his move. So I'm not worried at all. And I think obviously forecasting to next game against Leeds, I reckon he can fill up, the score sheet that way and, get himself moving over. But in terms of, the performance from Arsenal, I don't think anyone to a man would be happy with that. But at the end of the day, we didn't lose. We got the 3 points. And that's all I can say, man.
Yeah, I thought it was listen, it wasn't pretty. And I think when you look at the opening fixtures out of the so-called, as they say, the top six, I think it's quite clear that Arsenal, Manchester United did have the most difficult fixture. Because, look, all due respect, Spurs had Burnley at home, obviously Manchester City away to Wolves, who just was shy of relegation last season. Chelsea, they had Crystal Palace. Listen, they're no mugs, but this is quite a nice home game to have. So when you looked at that, this Premier League season is probably going to be one of the most competitive that we've seen for many years. And I know it's only the first game, but you just don't want to start off badly. And I think there was a lot on the line for Arsenal with the money spent, with the fact that, it's slowed down in the transfer market. So if there was a defeat to add to that, I think there would have been a little bit of a meltdown. And you don't want to start the season off. So I think the most important thing was the result. And listen, to go to Old Trafford, no matter what people say, Manchester United are not the team that they were yesteryear, but it's a very, very difficult place to go to. And on the opening day as well, because there's so much excitement. Any club that spends 200 million, you bring in Sesko, Cunha, in Buemo, it's the whole attack rejuvenated. Like it hardly happens where you think your whole forward line is on. Obviously, it's a new season. Amarin's second season, opening day at Old Trafford against the old enemy. It's a lot that you're not only the game, it's the atmosphere as well. So it's a difficult place to go, and to get the win is the most important thing. I will hand it to Manchester United. A lot of people said, "No, they played well." I think you should be playing well after, as I said, 200 million spent. You got your new forward line, so and you're the home team, so I would expect you to play well. I thought Cunha was the standout for me. He kind of is left off where he did at Wolves. I thought, he's very press resistant, very quicker than I thought as well. I think he's going to have a good season for Manchester United and definitely going to be a crowd favourite. I think he's probably going to be what Alexis Sanchez, or they wanted Alexis Sanchez to be for them. I like Cunha a lot, and I think he had a good game. Fair play to him. So yeah, it was interesting to see Bruno drop back into the midfield. I think they're still short though, but listen, 200 million spent for Manchester United, and look, the talking point was the goalkeeper. That was if that was an Arsenal goalkeeper, I think we'll be livid. So he's got to be stronger on that. But look, Calafiori, he has something about him when he goes to Manchester. Look, he scored a screamer on the 22nd of September last year at Man City, and look, he scored again, be it a tap in, but he is becoming quite a very interesting player that I don't think we have in terms of a profile at that club. He can invert, he can actually overlap as well. So if he could stay fit, this and play centre back as well. So if he could stay fit, this is a very, very interesting signing for Arsenal Football Club. But like I said, look, I think there's a lot of positives for Manchester United supporters. Defensively, I think they did okay. But obviously set pieces again. And the goalkeeper, you just ask, is Onana now apparently Onana's third choice now? You're in a very, you don't spend 200 million, you still haven't sorted out those problem areas. So we'll see what Manchester United do for the rest of the window. But yeah, listen, it wasn't a classic game starting off the season, but it was a great result for Arsenal Football Club, I believe. You want to come away from Old Trafford with 3 points. And then, yeah, look, you lead on to the home game with Leeds. I think all of the attention, as we know how fans are. Look, I think Manchester United supporters, they can't hide. They wanted Gyökeres. That was their number one target. That was their dream target. And it's not nice when you get jilted or someone is not picking up your phone calls. It's not nice. Look, I haven't got the face that's happened to me, by God's grace. But look, I can imagine it's not very nice to be jilted or look, I'm not taking your phone call. So there's going to be a slight bit of bitterness in there from them. So I know they were, watching his every move. But for me, look, he hasn't had a proper preseason. Obviously, there's been the ramblings with, Sporting Lisbon. But look, he's made it here now. He hasn't had a proper preseason, Gyökeres. But listen, I think I've got no worries with him. I think he'll get going. But what has to happen is, because people have been waiting for a centre forward for Arsenal, put all of the banter down. When you ask any club, okay, what were Arsenal missing? They would all say they're missing a centre forward. So I think it's quite the timing is impeccable that now a centre forward is here. It doesn't matter which centre forward it would have been. There would have been criticisms because you will kind of be a bit nervous thinking, okay, if this guy actually bangs, this team's going to be in trouble. So you start making excuses. I'm sure the same excuses will be made about Isak if he moves to Liverpool. Oh, he's a bit injury prone. Oh, his attitude isn't. Look, we all do it. It's a little bit of, it's a bit nasty, but I think he'll be fine. But look, Mikel Arteta was happy to win, get the 3 points, and get back down to London. Lime, what were your thoughts on the new signings, really? Obviously, you had quite a few on show. Zubimendi was on show. Gyökeres, Madueke had a little cameo. But then, obviously, you had the three forwards, and your boy Benjamin Sesko came on, didn't start, which is interesting.
And yeah, look, first things, I think you both covered we'll talk about Sesko and your boy Gyökeres in a minute. But overall, I thought...
If you must.
Sorry, excuse me. Well, yeah.
There's other players you can talk about.
We'll reference him because we've had some very interesting chats during the summer break, isn't it? That some people might not be open to, So we'll discuss it in a moment. But what I'd say overall, you both said good points about the game. I know we briefly spoke offline. It wasn't a great watch. To be honest, it's one of the poorest games I've seen Arsenal play in quite a few years. To be fair, even when they've had, even last season wasn't great when there was a bit limited going forward with all the injuries. Still kept the ball pretty well. This was very disjointed. Disappointed with the midfield a lot with Arsenal there. I thought Rice didn't look fit. Odegaard couldn't play a final pass. And that's something I think as Arsenal fans need to keep the eye on Odegaard this year because it's a big season for him. But if I look at the overall signings, I'll start with United. I thought Mbeumo played really well. I thought he was a threat from, you could see he's played in the league, he's settled, and he looked pretty good, as did Cunha. Sesko off the bench, didn't get much of a chance, but, I could see, nice little back heel here and there. He made, poor header when he had one opportunity. But I think one thing they'll have up front is pace. A lot of individuals. I think those three are very individual, so it'll take a bit of time. But if you look at a lot of the chances they made was through individual brilliance or a bit of luck. But I think the pace they've got up top is going to, and will cause a lot of other teams problems. So,
and you made a good point, Naeem, when you said about Mbeumo and Cunha. Listen, put all the hating to the side. Those are two very, very good signings for Manchester United.
Put them in the Arsenal team yesterday.
Yeah, you've got Premier League ready players who are coming off. Look, it's very rare that you get two players coming off best season for their respective clubs. So listen, it's very good, astute sign. They're not trying to take risks. They took risks with Højlund because someone said that, this guy's the next best fit. They literally said, I'm shopping. And it's so funny. This is what Alex Ferguson used to do quite a lot. Just shop in the Prem. Like Dwight York, right. Sheringham, right. Andy Cole, right. This is quite similar. Rather than saying, let's go abroad and get this guy because Real Madrid want him.
I think
there was none of that stuff. No, clubs were after. If you look at the two players, maybe Arsenal were loosely linked with Cunha, but the other two were Spurs as well. But I'm talking about like these clubs that you spend 60 million on euro because Real Madrid were on them, and you're trying to stop that happening. That never happened. United literally just said, "Look,
we need to get this sorted now." And but I think the other one you're looking at with Baleba, they were linked to Baleba a bit, isn't it, as well from Brighton?
Yeah,
they are looking. I think the recruitment's looking a bit more. Makes a bit more sense. They needed pace up front. They needed some goal threat, and they've got that. And they'll cause a lot of problems, I think, this season as well to keep everyone fit. But their goalkeeper, I mean, let's be fair. I mean, you could change the. I mean, there's a less said the better. I mean, I'd rather have Onana in goal than him. I've never been. I think I know it's a between the two of them, but Onana's, I'd rather have him in goal. That
I think it's a dangerous situation for Manchester United when
there's no
it's
confidence in the back line, especially with
it's
Shaw coming back. They looked a bit better with Shaw there as well, balance wise.
as I said, it's a very dangerous situation, the goalkeeping situation for Manchester United. Kind of like when your parents and your dream is one of your children to go to university, and you know the first one, literally, you just know, okay, this kid ain't book smart, so you bank on the other one, and they're not also book smart, and you're in a very bad situation. And with the goalkeepers, I don't. This is why it's very, very dangerous for Manchester United because you know, Onana making mistake after mistake after mistake last season. Then you had the Manchester United's famous win against Arsenal in FA Cup, and this goalkeeper was pulling off saves as well. So they thought, okay, back in there. Now they've got this goalkeeper back in. Amrin put his neck on the line yesterday. There was a lot of hot talk from him, like, you know, Onana hasn't been dropped. He's just my third. Listen, you're talking tough, and for your goalkeeper to do this, you have to. If that was any of you two, I would just like, yeah, you killed me here, innit?
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. Like, this
Fair
is,
enough.
yeah.
100%.
So, what do they do?
Well, the thing is, they've obviously got money to spend. They're going after Belabor, so I think there's still got Donnarumma, isn't there? Which would be quite funny ending up there. But I mean, in terms of goalkeepers that are about, I mean, this has gone for Ramsdale, isn't it? In hindsight, in terms of what it's about. In terms of signings, I think Zubimendi. First few games, I mean, I think looking in pre-season looked decent. For Spain, he's always looked pretty good. He struggled a little bit with the pace, I thought.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that's it. I think he'll come good. It was, as I said, tough game away at Old Trafford. The interesting one was Gyökeres. He doesn't look fit. He don't look fit. That's one thing. I was watching the rugby on the weekend, South Africa, and he reminded me of one of the centres. He looks like he doesn't look fully fit, and he looked,
do you think he's carrying a bit of weight? Because that's what people are saying. He looks a bit heavy.
He looks heavy, doesn't he? He does looks heavier than with the stuff we saw with Sporting Lisbon last year. He does look heavier naturally, but maybe that's me reading too much into it. His first game, I do think he was let down by the midfield. Like he didn't
100%.
make any runs. I'm not going to say it was all him. He didn't get any service whatsoever. Let's give him, we'll give him a bit of time before we'll see. It's only been one game, but
there's one game in. You've already, said that he reminds you of a rugby player, and then
his build was. You're telling me? Look at that. He does look.
So God forbid I don't want to see him in game 3 if he has what you're going to say. Look,
my view. I think both Arteta and Amarin look at each other and go, "Yeah, we signed each other strikers." I think they generally mean that. I even saw Arteta with a little embrace with Sesko at the end of the game.
Swear.
So, there was a little chat in his ear. So,
Yeah,
I do think.
Yeah,
sorry, I do think that it's going to be a very difficult season for Gyökeres if he doesn't start scoring goals, and I think it's nasty, especially from our fan base. Right, we're all Arsenal fans here, and I think you've seen us struggle to score goals from a central source, and now this 9 is being made into this mythical. Oh, you need a 9; it's the final piece, and I think a lot of fans aren't sold on Gyökeres. So what they're going to do is they're going to heap unfair pressure on him because it's like, oh, well, he's meant to be the missing piece. He's the striker banging form. He's a striker in his prime of his career. He's 27 years old. If he doesn't score 25, it's a flop. And I hear it. I really do. But it's like, how can you sit there and say it's going to be a flop if he doesn't get a certain amount when you've seen certain strikers, you persisted with certain strikers, you see Marino there, you've seen Havertz there, and you give them infinite grace. You see what they're good at. You see their link play. You see the fact that they run the channels. They work hard. You lord everything and anything under the sun apart from them scoring goals. And then suddenly we brought a striker in, and now you're trying to say, okay, cool, he's got to score 20, 25. And it's like, no, hold on. Let it land.
No,
I know it's a bit rich coming from me because I didn't let certain players land, but I didn't want those players. So I hear it. But at the same time, it's like, I believe I believe Gyökeres is capable of scoring 25 in the league. I truly believe that. And if he doesn't, of course, I'm going to look silly. But we've seen strikers or players playing at number 9 spot and don't even hit 15, don't even hit 16, 17. You're seeing Havertz score 13 goals and everyone's excited. For what? I don't get it personally.
I think one thing was he had no service. whatsoever yesterday. And I
None.
think to make his debut in a game, and as I said, one of the worst performances I've seen Arsenal in a long time. Got to give him a bit of time. I do think he's not fully fit.
Well, this is the thing. Listen, look, it is one of the worst. It is one of the worst performances we've seen in a long time. Not result. It's a good result when you go away, but one of the worst performances we've seen. And it's like he has to carry the brunt. But look, I thought it was quite fair, as people always say, to see what the ex-pros thought. And I think Joaquin was very fair with it. He's not going to hide behind his criticisms if he doesn't have to. And he just said, look, he does look a bit unfit. He hasn't had his pre-season, but I'm sure he'll be fine. Obviously, Daniel Sturridge said the same thing. He said that obviously he needs to change his style. Both need to adapt. And the same with Michael Richards. Said the same thing. But with Gyökeres, look, I'm not really too worried about it, because just like with Haaland, I'm not saying that Gyökeres is anywhere near to the quality of Haaland, but Haaland has been criticised about his touch, his link-up play. Oh, look at the touches in the box. Look, he hasn't been doing anything today, but he scores goals. And my concern, or my main concern with it, Gyökeres, is, are you going to score goals? That's like the link-up play and stuff is fine. That's good. I want that to happen, but his job is to score goals. People say he's going to be a flat track bully or what have you. Arsenal in the last 2 seasons have lost the league against lower opposition. So if he is going to now say, that West Ham defeat that we had, Arsenal against West Ham, and I'll get a brace, I don't really mind that. So, I think you just need to ignore the noise. But listen, let's move on to the world champions. I know obviously Jamie Carragher didn't really see it that way. It's interesting what he said. He goes, how can they be world champions if nobody that won the league title was in there? It was very interesting, because I said the same thing about Liverpool in 2005. How are they the best team in Europe if they finish 5th? It's funny how now he actually gets it that, you're not going to be the best. But it was an interesting game because obviously one of the dark horses, you would say, Chelsea, they've spent a lot of money again, but what's new? However, they've had very interesting signings this time. They don't seem to be going for the old school Abramovich signing. You brought in Cole Palmer. When they brought him in, it was like, oh, he's kind of like Man City. He's coming from the bench. Are you sure you want to go and get him? Shouldn't we go and get someone more established? But they brought him in. Neto, highly rated. João Pedro, Delap, another one you're thinking, wow, you've actually gone, and they went quite early for him. But then we've got obviously Crystal Palace, who, listen, probably one of the best seasons, probably is the best season in the history of the club. FA Cup, now picking up the Charity Shield. And you've got Eze, obviously being linked with Tottenham very strongly, and now Mark Gahey as well. What did you make of the game? It was a 0-0, Ed, but there was a lot more in that game.
I'll ask you a question. Do you think that goal should have stood?
Yes.
I thought so. I think
so too. It's a weird rule. I didn't know it even existed. And
football, it's the first time I've ever seen that rule ever been implemented, and I'm sure
football's a funny game. And
did you say a new rule?
No, it's an existing rule, but it's never really been implemented in games before. So that's why it got chalked off. It's one of those weird, it's always existed apparently, but referees never really feel free to exact it. So I think that's why it's weird.
Depends. I did think it was weird at all, Ed. I'm actually getting very used to these sort of.
Okay, I see you.
But very used to these decisions, and I'm convinced if this was another club who conceded that goal, I'm sure they would have said, "Oh, actually, this is it." It's just making up new things as it comes. I think Bruno Fernandes scored a similar one last season. And that was fine. So, but yeah, go on then.
Although, I'll be fair, we got lucky with that decision with Saliba. So, as much as Arsenal fans think that there's a conspiracy, United might have been robbed a penalty. The referee come out and said, "Oh, there wasn't much contact or it wasn't enough." I saw it. He didn't really get the ball. So
you are right, but I have to stop you there, brother, because we're talking about Chelsea and Palace.
Okay, touche. Now, all I'm saying is my overall point is
Yeah.
The standard of referees in this country is poor. So I as much as it's frustrating that we have been on the receiving end of a lot of rubbish, I don't think it's a conspiracy against one team per se. I just think at the course of the season, it's a long season, 38 games, there's going to be rubbish. And there might be a run where Palace, for instance, God forbid, but they get 4 or 5 dodgy decisions. I just think there needs to be more concern about bettering the standard of the referees rather than every season there's a new mandate. Oh, now the goalkeeper can't hold the ball for 8 seconds. And you're doing everything but improving the standard of the referees
100%.
and improving the product of our game. But
Yeah.
like I said, I think the goal should have stood. Eze, with all the chatter about where he's going to move to, professional performance. He's a brilliant, brilliant player. Chelsea probably could have done with him as well. That's the funny thing. Chelsea could have done with him yesterday. But yeah, overall, I think Palace will probably be a bit more upset they didn't get the win.
Mm-hmm.
Chelsea would be frustrated as well because they've got a very favorable run of games. I think they don't leave London until end of September. They've got Fulham, they've got Brentford, I think, and they've got another London team the next 3 games. So I think they would have wanted to, especially being at home, get onto the leaderboard, get 3 points, and start their challenge for I'd say top 4. I don't think on this showing they've got enough to win the league. I don't think they're even thinking about winning the league. I'm just thinking they're thinking about becoming a solid top 4 team again. And they maybe have the platform to build, maybe with numerous signings in the next couple of windows, and maybe challenge that way. But I do think they'll be frustrated. I think most of the players flat to deceive. Cole Palmer, he hasn't scored an open play goal since, is it January of this year? We're now in August. So he needs to buck up his ideas. I think maybe if it was a final, because in the finals of cup games, he turns it on and he becomes a proper player. But I think his league form is a bit, I won't say worrying, but if I'm a Chelsea fan, I'm thinking he needs to buck up his ideas because to me, they go as far as he goes. He's that good of a player. And I know agendas aside, with obviously Saka versus Cole Palmer, he's that good of a player that when he's on song and he's got that tandem with the number 9, hopefully João Pedro will getting amongst the goals. You saw the beautiful partnership with him and Nicholas Jackson last year until they both got injured and their league form dipped. If Chelsea to do anything this season, he has to be at the fulcrum. He has to be, the hub and the heartbeat of the team. And I think just time and again, he just seems to, maybe it's his style, his play style, seems to be a bit languid. Sometimes the game can pass him by. But at his best, what a player. So I think, again, he needs to be amongst it, dictating the tempo, probing, passing, scoring, assisting. And if he's not having a good game, they're still not got that much quality in attack. Gittins is cool, but is he an upgrade on Madueke for me? I'm not sure. The jury's out on that one. Neto, he's flat to deceive. I was high on him at Wolves. I really wanted him at Arsenal because I thought, boy, this looks like a proper player. But again, he looked like a big fish in a small pond at Wolves, gone to the big leagues, and he looks average at best. João Pedro, again, it's going to be a grace period for him. I think he's a brilliant player. I think he's a good player. He showed it at fits and spurts at Brighton, but there needs to be a level of consistency in his game for them to go to that level, that next level. But yeah, I think on the balance of play, I think Chelsea be frustrated that they didn't win, but Palace will probably feel they could have won. So that's what
interesting one. Obviously, we've got Naeem, our resident South Londoner, Crystal Palace fan, was at the FA Cup final actually. But obviously now he's back amongst us, calling Arsenal strikers overweight. But look, won't read too much into that. But look, being a Crystal Palace correspondent, it's quite a difficult situation for Palace because I do feel sorry for them now. You've come off the back of your best season ever. And you have got proper players there. It's been a long time at Palace since I've thought they've got 1, 2, 3. They've got a very, very good team. So I know Eze is being linked with Spurs, and actually look at them currently, and I don't think Spurs will fancy playing, Crystal Palace. FA Cup winners. You know, Mateta doing his thing. Like they look really, really good. Sarr doing a thing. It must be a bit. I mean, it's going to be late in the window, but Eze going. I know they're being linked with the number 10. But what's your thoughts on the situation? Mark Gahey as well. There was a little bit of a spat at the end. I know, obviously, Naeem is the Dot Cotton of the football world. So he's going to tell us exactly what that was all about, because Glasner was calling him over, and then he just kind of ignored him, and that's a good Christian boy there as well, Mark Gahey. So
he is. I didn't see that thing at the end of the game. Yeah, I didn't see that bit, unfortunately.
Oh, you didn't see it.
I can't comment, unfortunately. But
do you want to recap though? Do you know what happened?
Yeah, go on, Ed. Give us your full insight.
Yeah, okay. So it was very weird. It was unsavory. I don't know why that happened. I don't know what was said before in the lead up. Maybe Gahey thought, you know what, take this away from cameras. I don't know, but it's never a nice thing to see someone get somewhat disrespected, because it looked unnecessary. But then I don't know what was running through Gahey's mind. He might not have seen his manager say, "Come over here," but it did look like Glasner was saying, "Come over here." Gahey seen him and just said, "You know what, I'm going down a tunnel." And then, you know, that it gives the media something to talk about. Then they had to speak about it in the post-match presser with the.
What did he say? Glasner's quite a straight talking man. What did he say?
No. I'm talking about when you know, Roy Keane and the media guys had to speak about it, and it was just weird. So I don't know. Maybe he's upset that he hasn't got his move to Liverpool. I don't know, but it looked weird.
Because he doesn't come across as that sort of. He's quite a professional guy, isn't he?
Not at all.
Good God-fearing man. You know, he comes across with a lot of humility, so be quite surprised. I didn't see it, so I wouldn't. It's very interesting. I maybe he didn't see him. I don't know. Maybe misheard something.
Yeah.
But I think you mentioned Glasner. Glasner does a great job, hasn't he, at Palace?
Amazing.
I think that starting 11 when they've got the full strength team. I don't think they're missing Kamada in the game, but Will Hughes, who I've never been the biggest fan of, but under Glasner he looks a different player. One thing at the game was, I think Wharton was very, very good again. I think when he's on song, he'll be in the top 6 team very soon. I think it's probably by next season. I think for Palace,
what Palace first want to hear again. So
no, it's true. It is one of those, unfortunately. Yeah. Well, the thing is with Eze and with Mark Gahey now, there's 2 weeks left in the window, and it gets to that point where, like, especially for Palace, where unfortunately they've got Conference League, because that's another story for another day in terms of them not getting Europa League.
And that's Thursday, and Glasner's saying that he will be
play. Well, I think Eze will play. I think the thing is replacing them now with that quality, both Mark Gahey and I think Mark Gahey is more likely to stay, I reckon, and go on a free, from what it sounds like. But Eze, I think, unfortunately, may go Spurs, and you get Champions League football. He's in his prime of his career, but it's weird though. I think maybe he looks at Zaha. Did Zaha stay at Palace too long? And he looks at himself saying, "Look, this is my opportunity to go and play on the bigger stage." But I think for Palace,
I don't get the move though.
I don't get the move to Spurs. I think
I don't.
His only move. I think that's where he's looking at.
But this is the thing, and it's not coming from a place of look.
No, and we know where he really wants to go.
I get the move. And
he made it very clear that at the beginning of the window, if we can believe very credible sources, he made it very clear where he wanted to go.
I'd love to stay for another season.
I just think he is in the prime. And it's not being disrespectful, but if a player is in the prime of their career, your move is to Spurs. It just doesn't. It doesn't go hand in hand. And Spurs have had many world-class players. They've had a lot of world-class players, and it's always like, okay, they have to move on. And I understand that they've got Champions League football.
That's what it is.
I think that's the thing.
But they finished 17th.
No, but you can't look at it that way, because at the end of the day, Spurs are an infinitely bigger club than Palace, even if they finish 17th. It's a stature. And if they didn't have Champions League, I don't think he goes. I think he's looking at it like, listen, this is my one chance to play Champions League. I don't know what's going to happen next season. It's clear from his point of view, not anyone else's point of view, that I wanted to go to Arsenal. There was all the rumblings, people have credible sources that he's spoken to people saying, listen, if Arsenal come in for me, that's the club of my heart. I played there as a kid. I got released, whatever. It's the story of, stuff of legend. But whatever reason, we're not materializing for the move, so we're not going in for him. And yeah, he's probably thinking, cool, this is my one chance to play Champions League. Spurs are a big club. They're not the biggest club, but they're a bigger club. They're bigger than Palace. And I'm in the prime of my life. And also as well, I think with this move, as much as I'm an Arsenal fan and it will upset me if he goes to the Spurs, it kind of aligns. Remember, they wanted him anyway, but they tried to get Gibbs White. Then Maddison has gone down. So they need more attacking, reinforcements in that very same position, that 10-8 position. And he fixed the bill. So if they get him, it makes sense for all parties. Now, would I be upset? Of course. I don't want him to play for Spurs. And I rate Thomas Frank highly. So if they can get on the page, that can be nasty viewing for the league, man. So yeah.
Listen, look, a professional football player, he's got to make his decision, and I understand. I do feel sorry for him in regards to the story of Arsenal, because it must be quite difficult. Look, you're there as a kid. It's a dream. His heart was broken. His story, not mine, when he left. Oh, he got released.
Got released at 13.
And you've gone through all of that journey, QPR, you've made it back to the Prem, and then they're interested in you again. And, how his heart must have felt in the summer. Like, he wins the FA Cup, and then, he's speaking to Berto, he's speaking to his, and they're thinking, look, we really love you. You're probably thinking, oh my God, I finally get to go home. There's nothing more important than redemption sometimes. Sometimes, I finally made it home. And then again, for it to go cold, I just think he's going to go. Listen, it looks like he's going to go to Spurs, but I just kind of feel the way people are rating Eze, rightfully so. I think he's a very, very good player. Spurs, I just kind of think he should be going to like a Chelsea, or if Liverpool, when Liverpool were linked with him, I thought, oof, this is dangerous and this is a good move. Obviously, they don't need that now because they've got, Wirtz and a left winger. But these are the way he's been playing. That is the sort of team I'd be thinking, right, you're going to go there. Even if Manchester United went in for him, I know obviously he's not. I could probably get that move to a certain extent. It's just because the size of the club. It's just who you are as a player, and I just kind of feel it's not been many times a player in their prime in the Premier League on that level has said, right, I'm going Spurs. It's just, it's
options. It's options, isn't it?
That's what I think it is. And listen,
and I think if you're a player, I think anyone in that position remove our Arsenal bias. Remove it. You probably take that move if that's your only option, and it's okay, cool. Stay at Palace and probably not do much. We struck lightning in the bottle, man. We won the FA Cup and we won the Charity Shield. This might be as good as we'll ever get. I'm already a legend. I'm solidified in that part of London.
It's true.
Let me go, man. And for some reason, I don't think the Palace fans will begrudge him. They'll look at him like, listen, you've done it. You've won us a trophy.
You're saying that though, Ed, but I know social media doesn't speak for everybody, but the comments coming through is
nasty.
They're just saying we're better than Spurs now. That's what a lot is, isn't it, Liam? That's what they're saying. Like,
if you look at if they played each other, really,
they played each other 10 times now. Spurs versus.
I mean, the way that I've seen them play against Chelsea, against Liverpool recently as well in the Charity Shield.
No, but what do you think?
It's not a big. It's not as big a step up compared to Arsenal, just because Arsenal are a bigger club than Spurs anyway. If they play each other 10 times, it's probably like 6-4 Spurs. You know what I mean? So it's not. I hear what you're saying, and I could probably hear it from a Palace fan saying, "Oh, it's Spurs," but Palace, man, like, listen, you've just won your first trophy. Again, I hate Spurs. I'm not even trying to even ever beg them or respect them. They've won way more than you can ever win. You just won your first joint. You can't even talk about, who are we compared to Spurs? You're nobodies, man. And I respect Palace, and I want Palace to do well.
In one sentence,
hear me out.
In one sentence, man, I said, you're nobodies. But listen, I respect you.
Exactly.
It's facts. Like, we rate the story of Palace because it's been 100 years and they've just won their first trophy. But like, there's levels to this, and that's all it is. And Spurs are a level above. So I understand it from Eze's point of view that, listen, I'm 27. I'm in the prime of my career. I might not get many other opportunities to move. And football, it goes like that, man.
And the nature of it, as well as the one thing with Palace as well. The other thing they look at is investment into the club. They've obviously gone and won 2 trophies, right? but there's been not many signings, if that makes sense, to bolster that team up, right? So
in a poor window.
It's a poor window. There's no real investment. They've just dropped money on Kudus, isn't it? Spurs dropping on. He's going to play. I can see him. I don't think. Look, I think it's. I wouldn't say a sideways move. It's slightly up. To Ed's point, but it's not Arsenal. He's good enough to play for any of the clubs in England for me.
Yeah, 100%.
And then I think that's where, especially Palace fans, is frustrated saying is, well, you're just leaving for Spurs. With all due respect to Tottenham Hotspur, of course, it's that.
Yeah, and he's staying.
Bayern Munich, for example. I saw Bayern Munich. I thought, he'd be great there, for example.
Exactly. Location-wise, look, he's staying in London, and that's fair enough.
Probably double his money as well, you know.
Yeah, they get more money, obviously. I would quite a bit more money out of it, I'd expect.
Yeah, he probably would have got more at Arsenal. A lot more, I think, to be fair.
This club of ours, man. This club of ours.
It is what it is, and the club didn't want him, so that's just how it goes. I mean, I know people on the socials are trying to paint it. Look, we've grabbed this guy, but look, they didn't want him. He's there. And
I do think it's a financial thing as well. From what I've read on that aspect, is not FFP, but the UEFA. There's two, isn't it? There's two measures.
I think it's FFP. Like UEFA's FFP.
Yeah, it's UEFA's version where I think Arsenal are a bit close, not the Premier League one.
Yeah.
But who knows with these sort of rules at the moment.
But Naeem, what they always say, it's lip service, man. I don't trust this club.
100%.
What's my saying since the beginning of the window? They promise us gold and then they deliver silver or bronze, man.
That is
remember,
true.
it was Eze separate to the 10 signing.
Yeah.
The left winger signing, right? Or whatever they were saying. They were saying it's at 2024. So this club.
We've seen it all before. Yeah, it's the same movie. Yeah. We
are on the prequel, the trilogy, the 8th film. You know, this is a franchise.
Remake
of films when it comes to Arsenal and the transfer window. This is Rocky 8. So
no, I hear it, boys. Right, listen. Before I get these two, going down there, the transfer window is going to close, so I'm sure we're going to have quite a few transfer shows where we'll definitely dissect what's been going on. But look, it kicked off on the Friday, Liverpool versus Bournemouth at Anfield, which was an extremely entertaining game. Very interesting game. We'll start with Naeem. What were your thoughts on this game? Liverpool winning 4-2, but it was a lot closer than the scoreline suggests.
I think the scoreline flatters Liverpool, to be fair. I thought it was a great game to watch. First game of the season, really attacking. Liverpool going forward, we know they're going to be a threat, isn't it? Etikike looks a good signing. I think he's a good player. They spent a lot of money on him, but he looks a good player. He looks like a player that fits in with the Liverpool system. Very quick, direct. Verts, a few nice touches. First game, isn't it? But if we're talking about new signings, and how much did they drop on him?
Are you mentioning his weight at all? Was he slightly underweight? Does he remind you of a Gaelic football player or something? I was just waiting for something because this one costs 100 and something mil.
Yeah,
I'm waiting for. And
I hadn't finished elaborating on his performance, to be fair, but
or his how he looks.
He didn't look fully fit himself. Myself, to be fair, I mean
shock horror.
Yeah, I know. Just saying. I think there's
Grace
across the
Grace
board.
For the £100 million signing. Yeah.
Well.
No, I haven't finished. The besmirchment's real, isn't it? Well, I'll be proven right. I'll be proven right about a certain striker. I'll be proven right later in the season.
On who?
He's obsessed.
You know what I'm talking about.
Let's put some money up. Yeah.
We'll
talk offline. We'll talk offline.
Talk offline. Yeah. British pounds, right? Or Zim dollar. I'll give you some Zim dollar.
Zim dollars, mate.
I give you Zim dollars deal.
Listen, look, I don't like this sort of stuff because now, look, this is going to go out on YouTube, and we have our brother Naeem now betting money and stuff like that. Like this, you've been caught bang to rights now. To be fair, so look, this is
it shows how corruption can happen, right? To the best of us.
But yeah, go on. Liverpool.
I expect a bit more from Verts. I mean, he's dropped £100 million on a new player. The next superstar. I thought he was a bit quiet.
First game now, innit? I mean,
yeah, but still, I'm hold the high enough standing. I thought Liverpool looked decent going forward, but defensively all over the place. All over the place. I think their fullbacks as as much as we were talking about, Alexander Frimpong, great going forward, not the greatest the back. Kirkus was playing left wing, and I don't think they can win the league playing like that. To be fair, I think all due respect to Bournemouth, they lost 4 of their 5 back of their back line. Their best centre backs are gone, and they, as much as you were expecting them to ship a few goals. I'll be honest with you, against Liverpool, first game of the season. But going forward, Semenyo that second goal was tremendous. I know where Van Dijk was going. I don't know if you saw the goal. Van Dijk decided to run away.
Really good goal. The second goal, very good. Yeah,
I think Liverpool, without Gravenberch in that midfield, looked too easy to go through. I know that they're trying to get everybody into the team, but it's just too attacking. McAllister's your holding midfield player, because as much as Szoboszlai gets up and down, he's more of an 8 attacking, isn't he? So I think it's a bit without Gravenberch. I think they will chuck in 120 million as I get it completely, but they need another midfield player and another centre back for me. I think that's my concern for Liverpool. It could be a great team to watch this year, though, because they're going to give up chances. But at the moment, it's still first game of the season. Good looking going forward, but defensively is the one big concern for them.
Yeah, I thought it was a very entertaining game. Very frustrating game if you are doing the Liverpool hate watch. Because, yeah, look, they go 2-0 up. But it was just Bournemouth defensively, and I think we spoke off air about that. And listen, they've lost the 2 main centre backs, one going to Real Madrid, one going to Paris Saint-Germain, which tells you everything about the quality that they've lost.
Yeah.
The defending from Bournemouth, especially, I felt so for Areola. I mean, I was frustrated, and then just seeing him on the touchline was just like, especially for the Chiesa goal. This used to frustrate me, as I told you, Naeem. I played no high level of these Premier League football players, but one thing that used to annoy me semi-pro is I'm getting kicked every single game, and we've just happened to score a goal, and then your centre backs, they just ship cheap goals. There's nothing more frustrating. And if you look at that Chiesa goal, both centre backs went for the same ball, bumped into each other, and then it bubbled. You just think, you're at Anfield. Semenyo's, received racist abuse. So there's a lot of pressure on there. And then you brought it back to 2-2 at Anfield. Just show a bit of guile and grace. Keep the ball. You can imagine Areola's as bad manager thinking, come on. So to go and concede, and then obviously Salah, I mean, that was a great finish, by the way. And he was smelly in the Charity Shield, smelly in that game again. I was thinking, right, he's probably not going to score, but look, on his right foot as well, good finish. So yeah, I mean, I think they did kind of the school of life flattered them, but look,
you can see Areola's face.
They won. They got the job done. Yeah. They won. They got the job done. They had a favourable, Bournemouth at home. You've got to win, and they've done that, and that's why the pressure was kind of on the rest of the teams in the Premier League. Like Man City with the game next. When the champions Liverpool, I think a lot of teams are going to keep an eye on them, because last season they wasn't keeping an eye on them up until November.
When they built the bit.
They just kept clipping away. So now you got to think, all right, cool, we've got to stop the momentum.
Just one further point. I think you made it when I didn't bring it up was the racial abuse towards Semenyo. I mean, there's no words behind it. I think credit to him, the way he carried on and scored 2 goals as well. He's the shine light for Bournemouth this season as well. So I'm surprised he's still there, to be fair, the way they've been selling players. He could play in a better team. But if I'm Bournemouth, I think that's 2 points dropped the way they got back in the game and the way they played, to be honest. Credit to them. And credit to Areola. Been a great coach with them. Lose all those players.
Yeah. It's just bad defensively. Right, Ed, in terms of Liverpool, the signings that they've brought in, potentially still trying to go for Isak, potentially still trying to go for Mark Gahey. What were your thoughts?
Well, unfortunately, I didn't watch the game. I saw the highlights, and everything you said, I echo. With that Gravenberch in the middle, they looked like a sieve. They were getting run through. Semenyo's goal just epitomizes why they need a 6 and maybe another defender, because for him to run the length of the pitch and finish that chance, that shouldn't be happening, man. Even in transitions, you shouldn't be getting a clear run like that. Someone should have taken him out way before he even got to the edge of the box. But they will live and they learn. I think the emotion of the game, because it's the first game at Anfield, first game of the season, obviously Jota and his brother, rest in peace. So I think the emotion of him not being there, probably weighed a lot on them. And it was quite an emotional game, a roller coaster, right? So it was quite end-to-end back basketball style. But yeah, both defenses didn't cover themselves in glory. You'd expect Bournemouth to struggle defensively because, like you said, they lost their centre-back pairing. So yeah, they're not going to be at the races. And then obviously there's a new look defense for Liverpool. Both fullbacks are brand new. They're getting up to speed at the level. They never played at the level before. And they looked out of sorts for a bit. So I think as the season goes on, they need to short that back line because they want to be resolute. It's all good and proper getting into shootouts, but defenses do win your league at the end of the day. And if you can't defend, you're very susceptible to not winning many trophies, right? So they want to be able to be watertight defensively. VVD's not getting any younger. So again, he needs to, prolong his career. He doesn't want to be, defending like that kind of their game. He needs it to be all in front of him and serene. So there's things to work on. It's early days. In terms of the signings, I was impressed with Ekitike, even though it looks a bit gangly and
what is this? Body shame.
No. It's the way he plays, not body shaming. I'm not naive, man. But he looks 10 stone overweight, rugby player. I'm not him. But no. It doesn't. Sometimes looks a bit uncoordinated, but listen, he's going to be a great player for them. And selfishly, I don't think they need Isak. I know it's early days with Ekitike, but 2-2, and it's a confidence game when you're playing up front, right? And with the type of team they have, he's going to get chances. So I don't think they need to get Isak. From a selfish point of view, I don't think they need to get Isak. I think Ekitike is all you need, guys. Yeah, you don't really need it much more. But in terms of spending the money they've got for Isak, I'm with Naeem. They probably need cover at 6 because, listen, if Gravenberch goes down, they've got no other 6. McAllister's not a 6. So Bosnar's not a 6. Curtis Jones is in 6. And that's in a very important position for that team. So I'll probably get a defender because it looks like Konate is probably going to go on a free. So they need to get another defender in anyway. You can't trust Gomez. They've signed that kid from Parma, I think it's Leon.
Well, they have got, Parma,
he's a child, so you can't really throw him into a team like that.
To be fair,
much. You say?
I think they might do.
Very highly rated, isn't it? Highly rated. Having the cups.
Yeah, highly rated, but again, he's 18, so you can't be expecting too much from certain players at that age, especially defense. It's a very, very key position to be playing an 18-year-old kid. The nuances of the game they might not know yet, but again, he might be the second coming of Maldini, so who knows? But
I've heard that before.
Of course,
they need a winger. They need a winger as well. Liverpool. I think they're short of the wingers because obviously Nunez has gone, as has Diaz, and obviously Jota, rest in peace.
Yeah. So and if Gakpo goes down, they sold Diaz, like you said. So it's a situation where they do need a bit more work done in that club. But as long as Salah's there, as long as Van Dijk's there, if I'm a Liverpool fan, I feel somewhat comfortable, man. So
yeah. Before we do head off, I think we do need to talk about Manchester City.
Mm-hmm.
That was a very commanding performance. I think all eyes were on City because people were saying, look, Liverpool are favourites. The league's run done. Arsenal have got a striker now, so quite a lot of pundits are saying that I think it'll be their season. They've added for Manchester City. De Bruyne is gone. Obviously, Rodri down injured again. But they kind of moved quite quickly. They bought Serki, which is obviously Ed's. Ed had some sort of, I don't know if he was on a commission because I think there's something with Ed and Leon players because I think there's some commission-based thing because he's been trying to, he tried to get us to sign.
He's got rights. A third of the rights, isn't it?
Guimaraes, he tried to get us to sign him.
Bacola. Listen,
but
they've got some guys over in that part.
The one we got was Lacazette.
I smell
the Lacazette one. That wasn't my work. You let me down with that one.
I smell a grass cutter, as we say in Ghana.
So,
not quite a rat, but a grass cutter. So you know what I mean. And
what a Ghanaian phrase. You smell a grass. What does that even mean?
Oh, it's like a rodent that certain tribes eat. Yeah.
In Ghana.
The north. Carry on, doctor.
Okay, you know what? You eat rodents.
I
Yeah,
don't
thank
eat
you,
them. I'm
thank you.
solution, by the way. But
Thank
carry on.
you. Oh, okay, no, it's cool. This is good information. I'm storing it. So yeah, cool. You call them what? Grass cutters? Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Very good.
But carry on, Mr. Grass Cutter of Olympic Lionel. But yeah, go on. So they've got Sergei Reinders, who they signed from AC Milan as well. And he looked like a player, didn't he? The finish was nice. What do you make of them quickly?
Listen, Man City, that's what you want. I think they've gone about their business quietly. There's been little to no noise about their incomings, their outgoings. They're just doing business efficiently. And Reinders looks like a proper player. I think they've replaced Gundogan adequately. I think he come off the back of his highest scoring season ever. I think he slapped 16 all comps in Italy for the Milan side. And he looks like he's just brought his goal scoring form into England already. The pace and power didn't worry him. I know it's Wolves, but if you look at the contrasting performances with Zubimendi at United and Wirtz against Bournemouth, they looked a bit flustered with the pace and the physicality of the league. And Reinders was like, "Oh, my God, no, this." He took it like a training match. It might have been Wolves, but he wasn't tested.
United are a little bit, yeah.
I hear it, but at the end of the day, the league is the league. So he didn't look out of place. He looked like he's been playing there for 5 years. He ran the show. He looked like a really, really impressive bit of business by Man City, and they keep getting away with it, man. I know it's early days, but on final viewing, Haaland got 2 goals. Mm-hmm. Shirky come off the bench to score. Marmoush didn't start. So it's like, this Pep, this guy, you can't keep him down for 2 seasons. So he's going to have a lot to say this season. And yeah, if they can keep all their players fit, yeah. I don't think many teams want to see City again. It'll be interesting to see how they fare against the bigger sides. If Rodri's out for a long time. The defense isn't the greatest, but they did their job, man. 4-0 against Wolves away. Light work, man.
Listen, 4-0 is not big fee. It's and Haaland always starts the season strongly.
Sharply, man.
Good finishes. It's quite interesting though. With Manchester City is 4-0, as I said, it's no mean feat. But they have gone about their business quietly. But obviously, transfer rumours, just to end it, that Savinho, we thought it looked like he was on his way to leave, right? And then now we're hearing that Pep Guardiola says that they may keep him now. So I don't know if that's going to have a domino effect. Quite interesting, but we will see. But listen, that is the end of our first podcast. So guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, and definitely share. We will be back. No question about that. So thank you for tuning in. Peace.